Hello everybody, and welcome to another video where we talk about Destiny, but we actually play Destiny this time. We'll be doing a live call on this time around, so forgive me if I'm a little bit scatterbrained, stuff like that. I'm kind of just getting over sickness. It's kind of fully faded now, as well as the fact that I'm kind of talking a little bit quieter because it is, as we recording this, 11:30 p.m. Um, so forgive me on that front, but um, I want to talk about Destiny Perpetual because I am someone who likes to do raids. I like to do them whenever I can. I'm not necessarily going to say I'm a Destiny 2 raider. That's not necessarily the main reason why I play this game. I play the story more than anything. But I do enjoy myself a good raid every now and then, right?
There's few guardians I
And
would send without a fire team, but you're one of them.
I very much am
Make
of
me
the
regret
mindset
it.
of
We appreciate the confidence, Saint.
I feel
We
like
won't take any
raids are
unnecessary
getting to a
risks,
point
I hope.
where they're reaching a difficulty spike that are either becoming so difficult it's not fun, or so difficult that it's fun but not easy for to teach, you know? And while I understand raids are the end game content, they're meant to be difficult, they're not meant to be easy, I still like being able to sit down and do a raid and not have to really worry about massive stress. I'm not necessarily saying I want every raid to be like 60 minutes to 60 to 90 minutes long, but I also don't want every raid to be a 6-hour endeavor where I'm basically by the end of it, it's like, why did we even do this? Why am I even here? Who are you people? Type of thing, you know? That being said, Salvations was one of the few raids that I feel like was very kind of a slap in the face to those of us who do wanted to at least experience a very difficult raid, but they made it way too difficult to the point where it wasn't even fun difficult. While Desert Perpetual, on the other side of the coin, is very difficult, but not so difficult that I'm angry at it during encounters. They are difficult. I would say out of the 4 encounters, the hardest one, in my opinion, was certainly the Hobgoblin, or maybe even the I didn't realize that was I had that modifier on. I hate this modifier on solo ops. You can't do anything to counter it. But with this Perpetual, I feel like there's only really one encounter that's more of a slog, and that's realistically probably Wyvern, because that one's a bit annoying, but not like impossible, you know? I don't feel like the encounters in Salvations were a lot more of a big ask for teams that are struggling on the more mechanical side of things. While on the mechanical side of things for this Perpetual, yes, they were a bit demanding, but they weren't so demanding that they demanded perfection. You could make a couple of mistakes and still be able to make do. You didn't have to run the best of the best things, and that's the only way you could succeed. You could kind of run some slightly more off-meta stuff and still succeed. There was no required loadout, if that made sense. Like, for TPS, yes, there was. Like, Outbreak, Thunderlord kind of really steamrolled that entire dungeon. Jeez, I keep doing this. Kind of steamrolls the entire raid as a whole. But, at the same time, it's Outbreak and Thunderlord. They've always kind of been good, especially after Thunderlord got its bolt charge changes. It's always been kind of good. That being said, I definitely will say that if I had to choose which raid I prefer over all of the ones I've done, in terms of doing them early on, I still think Death Perpetual is very difficult, but not, I never want to do this raid again. but it's still very difficult that it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to teach that raid to a bunch of people who don't know the raid at all. On the off token, though, on the other side of that coin, I do think Death Perpetual is easier to teach than Salvations. Because Salvations requires a lot of patience and a lot of time investment. Mainly just because of verities, but also second, or not second encounter, but first and third encounter can take a while for teams that struggle with execution. Not to say every team will have the same problem, but at least in my experience, it's always been either first and third encounter that struggles with the clear of that raid. Somebody like Crota's first encounter is kind of hard, but second, third, and fourth aren't that bad. But Desert Perpetual is very interesting because it's probably the most fun I've had doing a typical raid, where I didn't, again, feel like I wanted to rip my hair out. So I think that's what's important to me anyway, is that Desert Perpetual raids need to be fun and engaging, while also adding some difficulty, but not so much difficulty that I'm angry by the end of it, you know? And... just kill me. But again, I don't feel like Death Perpetual is a bad raid inherently. I think it has its problems, and I think it's definitely the most difficult raid of recent memory, but I don't think it's worth saying it's the hardest raid. I would definitely say that still lies in Salvations, maybe even Crota's Day 1 specifically. Maybe even Kingsfall Day 1, because I know both those were a struggle. I still prefer doing raids that are easier, not because I suck at the game, but because I like doing raids that where I actually feel like the progress is being rewarded, as opposed to doing a raid that is just a slog and there's nothing really good to get out of it. Like, the weapons in Desert Perpetual at least are kind of decent, and the weapons in Salvation's Edge, at least in my opinion, not really. There's like one weapon I really want out of there, and I haven't even gotten it to roll once. But then you look at something like Vow, for example, and all the weapons in that raid are favorable in some way. Like, I really like the Pulse Rifle, I really like Diffusion, even though I don't have one. I know Forbearance is very popular. Cataclysmic is one of the best damage options, or was one of the best damage options for a time. Moon Nightmare's Conditional Finality is one of the better weapons in the game for PvP, despite the fact that I don't like it personally. But you also have Rubus's Fury and Briar's Contempt for the surrounded strategy for DPS. You have Crota's End having okay weapons, having a couple of standout interesting options, but nothing really amazing. Kingsfall having Sally's, which I still haven't gotten a single roll of, by the way. You have Vogg's reprised updated weapons having, obviously, Fatebringer, Corrective Measure, Keystone Crypt having Commemoration. Like, every single raid has weapons to go after that feel rewarding to do the raid. Like, example, Apex in Last Wish. There's a reason why it's one of the few Last Wish weapons I have crafted outside of Shattering Bone, because it's a good weapon. It's the best rocket in slot, at least in that archetype specifically. But I don't like doing Last Wish that much, because I think Last Wish is very, very difficult. I don't think it's the hardest raid, but it's very difficult for teams who are trying to do it very legit. I've never done Ribbon legit, unfortunately. I want to one day, but it seems a little bit complicated. But then I look at something like Vow, and like, other than Dirt Encounter, Vow's fun. I like Vow a lot. I look at examples of other raids like Kingsfall. I've only ever done it once, but I still do enjoy that raid outside of one encounter, that being War Priest. It's because it's done so annoyingly hard. And then I look at other even easier raids like Ruin Nightmares. There's only one encounter that's a bit of a slog, and that's second encounter. Third encounter is very easy and very fun, if anything. It's probably one of the easiest ones to teach the mechanics of. Deepstone Crypt, like, third encounter is probably the hardest one out of the 4, just because there's a lot going on. It's very hectic, but then there's no boss. But it's still a fun raid to do. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, is what only really matters to me. Is I like doing raids that are fun, not necessarily difficult. If they're fun because of the difficulty, that's one thing. But if they're difficult and they're not fun, I don't like doing them. Like, Garden is a good example of that. I find Garden kind of difficult because the tether mechanic is as buggy as it can be. Obviously, right now, it's not that bad because it has been fixed over time. But I know, at least in my experience, I've had very rough issues with it. But I know others haven't had too bad a run-in with it. I still want to try it since I haven't even done it since the reprise, or since the reissue of the weapons. I think I only ever got the hand cannon and the sniper. I don't think I've gotten any other weapons, so I do want to try it. If only try and get some of the other weapons. At least the Reckless Oracle, because I would love a good Void Auto. Really want to try not to have this Wyvern kill me. But yeah, I think that's just kind of, for me, what matters in a raid is the raid fun? Is the raid difficult? And is the raid rewarding? And to me, at least from the weapons I've seen in the Perpetual, I don't think the raid's rewarding enough, but its difficulty kind of balances it out. Obviously, as we're recording this, the Epic raid has not gone live yet. It should be going live actually this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So I have no idea if the weapons from that are going to be any good. I know they're in the files and everything, and they're ready to look at, but I haven't looked at them personally. I know there's a Void support frame, which is like, ooh, okay. That's like the one thing that's interesting. But I don't know how hard the Epic raid's going to be. I don't know if the Epic raid's going to even be a thing that I want to do, you know? But I think overall, the experience of raiding is not becoming less for me, but it's very much becoming a thing that is not geared towards players like me anymore because of the fact that it's as difficult as it is now. Obviously, this coming as of today, at least in like an hour or so, this video goes up. The update that will allow old raids to become farmable for their exotic and dungeons as well will be going live. Will be going live, rather. And I'm excited for that because it means I'll be able to do raids that I haven't done previously that I think I need to do more runs of. So, like, examples being like, I want to try and get Jamalus, I want to try and get Collective Obligation. I want to try and get, like, all the weapon rolls that I haven't gotten from other raids. I want to try and get 1K, despite the fact that I'm not a huge 1K fan. I do want to try and get it regardless. I want to try and get, I want to try and get all these weapons that I haven't obtained yet. Now that they're farmable, it's like, oh, hey, cool, I have a reason to do these raids. But then it's like, people will say, well, oh, the raids are so old, why bother? Because they don't have the tiered system. It's like, who cares? Grapple weapons are still usable in the current meta. Like, yeah, they're not great, and they're not as good as tiered weapons, but they're still good. Like, don't sleep on them just because they're not tiered weapons. They can still be good. Who knows? Again, we don't know what's going to be coming in Renegades. We don't know if there's going to be ways of enhancing weapons that aren't in the tiered system into the tiered system. We don't know if there's going to be a way of making crafted weapons be better in the tiered system. So I think the idea of doing weapons, at least from raids and dungeons, in the tiered system from past raids, but keeping their pool pools the same, I think is definitely an idea they should at least consider. If only for the sole fact of keeping those things relevant, so that way people who want to farm the exotic aren't necessarily farming it for nothing. Because again, I think a good example of this is like people like me who don't have Touch of Malice and want to be able to try it or not even necessarily touch mouse, like 1K voices, or collective obligation, or what have you, like all these weapons, outside of the builds that they are useful in, the weapons in those raids are kind of worthless. Putting them into the tier system, even if you maybe update their perks a little bit so they have slightly newer perks in the craftable versions, basically you get the updated perk pool by default, or you can just recraft them with updated perk pools into the new tier system or something like that. Even if it's something like that, I'd take that over nothing. Because again, I still want these weapons to be usable in the current day and age, even if it means they're not necessarily going to be amazing, you know? Like, I can imagine something like, can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I can imagine something like the, on the Sky and Eye getting something better that's more in line with a sniper for, like, maybe PvP, or, maybe even, the King's Fall weapons getting more weapon perks that are more in line with the updated sandbox. Like, imagine the Scout Rifle getting, like, more, PvE-related perks that kind of tie into, more PvE-related perks tied into the Void Synergy, because right now I think it only has Repulsor Brace. Imagine you were able to get Destabilizing Grounds, Repulsor Brace, or Withering Gaze, or Demoralize on that thing, and then add on even more perks from other weapons that scouts can get, like, maybe not Kinetic Tremors, because obviously it's a, void weapon, but you still get the idea. You maybe spend rank and get Kinetic Tremors or something like that, like, you see what I mean? It's like, I think if we even update the perk pools to have modern stuff, and then give them in the tiered system, I think that would at least give people reason to do the old, at least the old raids. I think asking for the old dungeon stuff in that system is still also pretty good, but I think asking anything other than that, kind of not. I'm not going to expect it, but it'd be kind of fun. Like, seasonal weapons, definitely no, but, like, the destination ones are, like, maybe? I definitely think raid and dungeon stuff should at least be brought to the tiered system only because there's still relevant content that can be played and completed in some way. That way, those of us who want to try and use our Epicurean or Indebted Kindness or, I'm trying to think of other dungeon weapons. Long Arm, or obviously we did get the reprisal weapons in Ray of the Nine, but even then, like, think of the Pit of Heresy weapons, even though there's only one that's exclusive to Pit. Like, or even the Prophecy weapons, even though there's none that are exclusive to Prophecy. Or not Prophecy, the, Shadow Throne weapons. Like, imagine putting those weapons up into the new system, that way at least then they can have a breath of fresh air. I like the idea of making content be fun and worth playing, and still have it be relevant. So outside of the exotics, outside of the exotics and the craftable weapons, none of the weapons in raids and dungeons are worth grinding for, with the like a small handful of exceptions, like Indebted Kindness. But then again, Indebted Kindness has been sunset thanks to Unfall, because that's Rolling Storm, Tilting Feedback, Reverberation, all these new perks. And then you look at stuff like anything in the kinetic slot become irrelevant because of in retrograde. You look at like all these weapons that become irrelevant, but I think giving these older weapons the tier treatment and maybe even updating just a couple of perks for like the newer stuff and then overhauling even older stuff would be nice, you know. But I'm not Bungie. I'm not here to make those decisions. I just am very much with the mindset of like Bungie should do something to at least give those of us who like the raids and dungeons and don't want to necessarily farm just as a Perpetual over and over and over again for months on end, something to do, as well as at least give, I would say, within reason, give us the old weapons and armor into the new system, maybe with like a limit on normal mode, and then on Master is how you get like tier 5s and higher. That way at least then there's a reason to do them on Master outside of getting like your triumphs and your title. Because, to be honest, that's like the only reason why I'm in the Master Vogue or King's Fall or Rude or whatever, is because I don't want the title really. I'm like, other than realistically maybe like the Vow title or the Root title, I really don't want any of the Raid titles. Just because I'm not a huge fan of the titles for Raid, they're just very difficult. Dungeons, I feel like I have a little more of a chance, especially given the fact that I need 2 triumphs for 2 different titles to get the title. That being Void, Void full fire team on Spire and solo Spire and then solo Warlords. But that's slightly off topic. That's another topic for another day. Which, again, if you do want to see more content from me, whether that is videos like this for my thoughts on things, or if you want to see live stream content, go follow me over on Twitch. I'm going to try and be doing Twitch highlights, maybe not consistently, but at least as shorts. I'll be trying to at least do those once a week, no promises, but with me being sick, it's been hard to want to stream. I've had the motivation to stream, but every time I go to do it, I just feel ill and don't want to do it. But yeah, I'm someone who likes playing Destiny not just because it's a video game that's enjoyable, but it's because it has a story that I like getting involved in. As a community that, even when it's not doing great all the time, it's not a community that I like partaking in and interacting with. But even through all the community toxicity that's been happening recently with Edge of Fate and Ashen Iron and everything that's been going on, I still like this game. It's gonna take a lot more. It's gonna take a lot to make me really hate this game, really. If me quitting COD with that reason is anything to go off of, with the reason I did, is anything to go off, it's gonna take a lot more than the current state of Destiny to ruin Destiny for me. I definitely find myself not playing it as much some days. Like right now it's Iron Banner, and other than getting the title and getting a couple, basically just getting the armor, I haven't really been playing it much. And hell, I want to play it on my Titan and my Hunter, or on my Hunter and my Warlock to get the armor. If only because the armor is nice. But I'm also like, I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll do some more Iron Banner. If it comes back some other time, I'll do it again. But if it doesn't come back this season, I don't care. But yeah, that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to finish up this solo off and then we'll end off the video proper. But yeah, again, if you're new here, subscribe. I upload every single day of variety of games. I try to play a lot of different games, not just Destiny or I was gonna say COD. I don't play COD anymore. I keep forgetting. But like Destiny, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Overwatch 2, a bunch of different stuff. Trying to play a variety of different games. Obviously, I do Let's Plays every Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. Right now, Wednesday slot's taking a little bit of hiatus till October. Because I'm going to be taking, instead of doing Gears 5 High Busters, I'm going to be doing something else, just to mix it up a bit and take a break from Gears. But also I do some Dead by Daylight here and there. I'm trying to branch out and do more games on Switch. Obviously I do Pokemon, sometimes Splatoon when the game doesn't make me depressed. But yeah, I'll see you guys next video watching. Everybody, stay safe.